You know, sometimes life hands you these absurd little stories that you couldn't make up even if you tried. And this one happened to me on a day when all I wanted was to catch a flight on time. I'd already cut it too close, left my apartment later than I should have, grabbed a coffee I didn't really need, hit just enough traffic to keep my pulse a little too high, but I thought I still had a shot. My carry-on wheels rattled over the cracked sidewalk as I hustled toward the terminal, checking the time on my phone like it might magically slow down if I glared hard enough. Then I turned a corner and froze. Right there at the passenger drop-off, where hundreds of cars were supposed to be moving in a smooth rhythm of goodbyes and rolling suitcases, one single white SUV had planted itself like it owned the place. Hazard lights blinking like mocking eyes, doors wide open, trunk half unlatched. And standing beside it, phone pressed to her ear, voice slicing through the noise, was this woman, maybe mid-40s, dressed in a bright sunflower-patterned dress that clung to her like she'd picked it for attention. Her name, I'd later hear, was Marjorie. But in that moment she was just an obstacle, a wall of arrogance standing between me and my gate. Cars piled up behind her, horns blasting, parents dragging kids by the wrist, people muttering every curse word you can imagine under their breath. One poor guy in a wheelchair had no way through because her SUV was blocking the only accessible ramp. But Marjorie didn't flinch. She was too busy telling whoever was on the other end of that call that she wasn't going anywhere until someone important came to meet her. She actually said the words, "I don't care what the rules are. He's supposed to meet me right here, and I'm not moving till he does." Now, I don't consider myself someone who goes looking for conflict, but something about the scene just set my chest tight. It wasn't just me who was stuck. She was making life harder for every traveler around her, like her time mattered more than the rest of ours. That's when the first security guard approached. Polite guy, maybe late 20s, radio clipped to his shoulder. He asked her gently, "Ma'am, you can't leave your car here. I'll need you to move it forward right away." And she turned her head so slowly, like he was an annoying mosquito buzzing around her ear, and she said, "Do you even know who I am? I'll move when I'm good and ready." Then she flicked her hand like he was nothing, and went right back to her phone. The crowd gasped, a mix of disbelief and annoyance. I tried to squeeze past the bumper with my bag and said softly, "Ma'am, if you just shift up a few feet, everyone can get through." She swiveled her head toward me with this smirk that could curdle milk, and she said loud enough for half the terminal to hear, "Not my problem. Maybe you should have planned better. Some of us don't run around like headless chickens before flights." I swear, for a second, I thought I might explode. But I wasn't alone. Parents with strollers struggled, teenagers carrying oversized duffels cursed under their breath, and an older couple just shook their heads in disbelief. The whole scene was starting to feel less like travel and more like theater. Then came the second guard, taller, more serious, with the kind of presence that says he's done playing games. His voice was firm. "Ma'am, this is your final warning. Move your vehicle, or it will be towed." Marjorie laughed. I mean, a full belly laugh. "Towed? You think you can tow me? My brother's a lawyer. You try touching this car, and I'll own this airport." And as if on cue, people in the crowd started pulling out their phones. And then we heard it, the deep rumble of a tow truck creeping up the lane. Bright yellow, lights flashing like a predator announcing itself. The energy shifted instantly. People leaned forward, phones up higher, whispers buzzing through the air like electricity. Marjorie spun around, and for the first time, I swear I saw a flicker of panic in her eyes. But she covered it with fury, throwing her body in front of her SUV like some kind of martyr. "You touch my car, and you'll be sorry," she screamed, voice cracking, sweat shining on her forehead. The tow driver stepped down from his cab, broad-shouldered, reflective vest, clipboard in hand. He didn't waste words. "Ma'am, your vehicle is obstructing a federal facility. You've been given multiple warnings. I have clearance to remove it immediately." And that's when it turned cinematic. Marjorie spun to face the crowd like she was on stage at the end of a Broadway show, arms flung wide. "Do you hear this? They're harassing me. Who's with me? Who will stand up for my rights?" But nobody stepped forward. Instead, laughter rippled through the crowd, because she thought she was rallying an army, and all she was doing was providing live entertainment. I couldn't help myself. I lifted my phone, started recording, and in this deadpan voice I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Observe the rare species of airport diva in her natural habitat, defending her territory with cries of injustice while blocking the path of innocent travelers. The place erupted. People doubled over, tears in their eyes, clapping and cheering. And Marjorie? Her face turned crimson, veins standing out as she screamed, "You shut that off right now," and tried to lunge at me. A guard had to step in, holding her back with one arm. Meanwhile, the tow driver lowered the steel arm with a hiss, hooking under her front wheels. The crowd went silent for half a second, holding its breath, then burst into cheers as the SUV lifted off the ground, headlights tilting toward the sky. Marjorie's scream could have cracked glass. She clawed at the air, yelling, "That's my baby. You can't do this. That car's worth more than your paycheck." And me. I kept narrating. Notice how the diva attempts to assert class superiority, but fails spectacularly. Phones all around me captured every second. Her meltdown just escalated. One moment threatening lawsuits, the next sobbing, "Please, I'll move it. Just put it down, please." But it was too late. The tow driver locked the chains, climbed back into his cab, and didn't even glance at her. For him, it was routine. For her, it was the unraveling of her whole world, and everyone was watching. When the SUV tilted again and we heard the sickening crunch of metal under strain, the crowd collectively winced, and then laughed even louder. A piece of trim clattered to the ground. Marjorie collapsed on her knees, clutching the spilled clothes from her pink suitcase, mascara running down her cheeks, screaming, "You don't understand who I am." But the thing is, nobody cared who she was anymore. All the arrogance, the insults, the entitlement, it had burned every ounce of sympathy that might have existed. By the time the tow truck rumbled forward with her SUV dangling in chains, the crowd was practically celebrating. People chanting, some climbing onto carts for a better angle. I glanced at my phone and saw the short clip I'd uploaded was already gaining likes by the hundreds. One caption someone left said it perfectly. She thought she owned the airport. Tow truck owned her instead. As I finally rolled my bag past the chaos and toward the terminal doors, I felt this strange mix of relief and satisfaction buzzing in my chest. I was still late for my flight, sure, but somehow it didn't matter. Because what I'd just seen wasn't just a woman losing her car. It was entitlement colliding with reality, arrogance finally meeting a wall it couldn't climb. And you know what? That image, her screaming as the tow truck carried her pride away, it stayed with me long after I boarded that plane. Maybe because it wasn't really about her car at all. It was about justice, however messy, however loud, finally showing up in the most unexpected place. So now I've got to ask you, if you'd been there that day, watching this whole showdown unfold, would you have cheered when the tow truck lifted her SUV, or would you have felt sorry for her once she broke down crying? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm curious where you stand on this. Was it justice served, or was it a little too far? And hey, if you enjoyed this story, share it around, because the more people who see it, the better chance we all have of remembering. The world doesn't revolve around just one person, no matter how loudly they insist it does.